Okay, now that we know how route parameters work, we can see how we do not need to write a GET request for every endpoint out there, which in our case is the product ID. And the other benefit is that I can just send a single HTML file with different datas, meaning that I don't need to create a separate HTML file for every single product out there. So basically, I am sending this HTML file that I just created here. It's called products.html. Now, whenever I try to access this endpoint here, so let's go to the products endpoint and then let's give in any ID value, suppose 1000 or 1002. So you're going to see this HTML page with John and 10 as the ID number. But if I like go to any endpoint out there, I can even use strings, letters, or anything. I'll get the same HTML page. So that's the thing that's good is we don't need to create a different HTML page, but how do we change data then? Like, how do we change the data of product 1001 with product 1002? And this is where JavaScript comes in. So, uh, I've created this products.js file, and basically I've linked it to my product.html file. So I'll just clear out this name for now. So it's empty. And what I've done is created four header tags here with the ID name, ID, price, and status. And now let's go to our product.js function. So similar to how we did in our fetch tutorial, we have called the function and we have used the async keyword. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are taking the location of our web page. So basically this endpoint, this link. All right, we're accessing this link using window.location.href. So I'll just console log this for now to show how it works. So I'll just console log link and show you guys what this actually means. So when I refresh this, you can see that I can access the link to the page that I'm currently on using window.location.href. Now, what I need is I need this ID number so that I can go to my array of objects and I can access the object value that has this ID number. So the first thing is to extract the ID number out of the link. So for that, I've used split method and passed in this delimiter. So what it basically does is when we look at our URL, so when we pass in this delimiter, it splits our link into different substrings. So basically the first part becomes this localhost 5000 and the second part becomes the ID value. And what the dot pop is, it gives the latter part of our substring. So basically it gives our ID number here. So we could try and console log this. Let's try and console log ID value and you can see that whatever ID I pass in here, that will show up in our console. So now that we have our ID value, what we can do is first we fetch the data from this link and we discussed this in the previous fetch API video. So I'll just uncomment this out. So I fetch the data from this link that I have here, and then I have to convert it into JSON to use it to access the objects inside. So basically, I'm taking this array of objects, converting it into JSON, and now we're using the JavaScript find method to find the object whose ID matches our ID value that we extracted from the link. So basically, it goes through all of the objects and it takes that object which matches the ID value. All right. So we could also try and console log this just to be clear. So let's try and console log object here. And you can see that we get the first one, since our ID value is 1001, we get the object which has the ID that matches the extracted ID number. So if I pass in 1002, we get a different product. If I pass in 1003, we get a different product. And since we only have 16 products, if I try 17, it's going to give us undefined. Or if I type in anything aside from ID number, like a string, it's going to give us undefined. So basically, now that we can access the object based on its ID value, we can now change our HTML page the way we want it to. So suppose I want to display the name, ID, price, and status of the ID that I pass in. For that, I have used the query selector to select all the heading tags. And here, what I have done is I have changed the text content based on the object that we got just now. So based on the object that matches the ID value, we are changing the text content of the name heading, ID, price, and status to have the values of the object's name, ID, price, and status. So when I save this and when I look at my page here and when I refresh it, since we do not have an ID of this. If I try and access the ID 1001, we get the iPhone 13 Pro. 1002, we get this. 1003, we get this. So basically, what we're doing is here is we're just passing in a single HTML file. We're just sending a single HTML file, but we're editing the data using JavaScript in real time.